The college football experience, week 13 DFS preview and Underdog fantasy picks episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with the promo code TCE SGPN. You get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Rebet. Rebet is a new social sports book available in 45 different states. Download the Rebet app. Use the promo code SGPN for 100% deposit match up to $100. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing college football and college basketball with Rhythm. Get your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. And remember, as always, folks, to let it ride.
Hey, folks, this is Bud Foster. You're listening to SGPN. Let's let it ride.
Yes. Woo! Welcome to the college football experience. Week 13 DFS and Underdog fantasy picks episode. Excited to be here. An awesome week for sports, really, as obviously college football rivalry week has kind of begun in a way with Stanford, Cal, USC, UCLA, and then it goes into next week's rivalry week. Maction, the ACC delivered a good one last night. The FCS, a good one last night. College basketball rolling along the lead up to Feast Week. Phenomenal games yesterday. Snow football in the NFL. I mean, it's the way it should be, not these filthy domes. Just an awesome day of sports yesterday, and I look forward to seeing tonight's games and tomorrow's matchups as well. YouTube.com/the college experience. Hit that like and subscribe button. The race for 15K before New Year's, because let's be honest, I see the numbers, and when I see I think it was 60% unsubscribed watching.
Oh, come on, man.
That means you gotta be subscribing. All right. That's actually a great number to have, they say, because that means that you haven't capitalized on all of your listeners yet. Well, I'm trying to capitalize, you filthy. What does it do? It does. Well, it does nothing. It's not like you're going to get it's not like you're going to, it's not like it's going to interfere with your day if you subscribe. So it's free. Get on over there. Do that. All right. If you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, my name is Kobe Swing at Database Dan, a.k.a. Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I'm probably drinking too much and celebrating too much and not sleeping. Would have killed a normal man, but no, that's gone. The medical advice I got from that was like being hit by lightning. Pretend it never happened and get on with your life.
Currently watching a Cal State Bakersfield game against Florida Gulf Coast at 11 a.m. It's fantastic to get games on this early. I know. Look, subscribe to the college basketball experience for more on that. But watch the Pussy Pack collapse last night against Georgia Tech. Bobby Dodd.
They covered. I cashed.
They did cover. Great FCS game too, as Southeast Louisiana makes a game-winning field goal. It was just delivering left and right. The St. John's Baylor basketball game was fire. Oh yeah, I am joined by my co-host. He is the DFS god, as they say. He's been tweeting out all these ladders. He's just been killing it. He cashed on a Maction Ulatowski prop. No one knows what the hell that means. Yeah, no one knows what the hell that means. You're going to have to explain that one. But give it up for the rooftop IPA drinking, homebrew making, tobacco road living, the free lot giving farmer, Herndon Basketball League MVP. Give it up for NC Nick in the place to be.
There we go. What's going on? Also, breaking news: R.I.P. Daniel Jones. I mean, he didn't die, but he got released by the Giants.
Oh, he got just flat out cut.
Flat out cut. Got benched a couple days ago. Then they decided to cut him just maybe 5 minutes ago.
Wow.
This is going to make for great content over at Sports Gambling Podcast.
I thought so.
Yeah.
He was a baller at Duke, but even I was surprised when he was drafted that early.
They didn't learn with Dave Brown, who they drafted in the first round out of Duke. All right. These Anthony Dill. Yeah. I mean, Riley Leonard, we'll see. They were raving about him last year. But wow, hilarious. How about those games last night, buddy? How about that Pussy Pack Georgia Tech game? It was a wild game.
It was crazy. It was a great game. And, you thought Georgia Tech had it. Then NC State comes all the way back and then they blow it. Then they get another chance to win. And a 58-yard field goal is just barely wide left.
Had the distance. Distance.
It did. It was a fun game. It was.
That's why, everyone, would say like, well, the playoffs, people, it's going to devalue the regular season. Here we are watching an NC State Georgia Tech game. No team even sniffing the playoffs, and it was awesome.
Right, but look at Georgia Tech now. Now they're at 7-4. They have a potential to go 8-4. Pretty nice year
playing at Georgia, but yeah.
But 7-5, solid year. And then NC State, the only chance they can go bowling is that if they beat UNC next week. So both of those games should be entertaining.
And what could be Mac Brown's final game as a head coach?
There's rumors that maybe he's coming back, which I would be shocked if that was the case. But yeah, especially if it is his last game, and if we know that beforehand, that adds even more intrigue.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the slate. Friday night we have. Today is Friday, obviously, and there's 3 games tonight, I believe. If memory serves, 3 or 4.
There's 3. There was 4 last week. So what the fuck, college football?
Yeah, I mean, this is a perfect opportunity to give us. There's so many games on Saturday that you just say, why would you not give us this? But I kind of had fun with the lineup here. So you got Purdue at Michigan State, shitty Big Ten game. That's why DFS is so much better than actually,
It gives you a reason to watch, right?
Yeah. Then an awesome game in UNLV at San Jose State with implications. San Jose State seems like they're somewhat eliminated, but still they're trying to. I think they're a program that has overachieved expectations in year one, and I think they might have a chip on their shoulder for the way UNLV got picked to play in the Mountain West Championship a year ago.
Yeah,
over them despite San Jose State beating them, and then you got Temple at UTSA, which some would say might be a snoozer. UNLV at San Jose State's the one to watch, right?
That's the best one for sure. I don't think Temple UTSA. I mean, it's got blowout potential. That's why the line is damn near 17 points. But at least there should be some action. I mean, UTSA has been putting up a lot of points. They've also been giving up a lot of points. I think the real snoozer is in Big Ten country. I guess you could argue Michigan State still has a chance to make a bowl in their coach's first year, so that's maybe one reason to watch. But that also has the lowest total of all 3, just 48.5.
Yeah. Those are the 3 matchups. Obviously, huge college basketball slate there. Check out the college basketball experience, folks. I want to tell you that the college football experience DFS show is brought to you by the SGPN app. Yeah, we're a part of SGPN. If you haven't downloaded the SGPN app, then you are missing out. The app gives you access to all of our podcast picks, articles, just everything we do content wise. Plus, just like all of our other content, the app is completely free to download. Type in SGPN in the App Store or Google Play Store and download it today. All right, back talking Friday night DFS before we jump into the Saturday day and night slates. And I'm curious, the quarterback spot here. Did you go Haj Malik Williams?
I didn't. I made a stand. I'm taking San Jose State plus the points, which doesn't mean that these stars can't have good fantasy games. But I basically made a stand and said no. I'm not taking Haj Malik Williams or I'm not taking Ricky White. Who I am taking, that's one stack. The other stack is on the other side of that game, and that's quarterback Walker Eget, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, just 6,400. And ever since he's come in there, that offense is cranking. 446 passing yards last week, 395 the week before that. The reason why I liked the San Jose stack better than the UNLV stack, because I'll just come right out and say it. I'm also taking Nick Nash, the most expensive player on my team, the wide receiver, for 9.7K, who leads the nation in receiving, I do believe.
I think you are correct. And I've had a chance to sit down with Nick Nash back-to-back years at Mountain West Media Day. Great guy, man.
But
Fun
that stack
guy,
is
good humor.
That stack is a couple $1,000s less than the UNLV stack. So if they can get about the same amount of points, or even maybe a little less points, I think it's a win. So I went with the San Jose State passing attack, not UNLV's. Did you go UNLV?
I actually stayed away from it.
Oh, okay. So you got neither of the quarterbacks in the nightcap.
Neither of the quarterbacks in the nightcap. I didn't have the money. I took a shot. Well, my most expensive quarterback is NFL royalty, Owen McCown.
Play the music.
UTSA Roadrunner. Yes, the son of Josh McCown, starting quarterback for the UTSA Roadrunners as they host the Temple Owls. Yeah, I mean, I just think UTSA they're playing for a bowl game.
Yep.
Temple, you could argue the coaching bump after firing Stan Drayton after one of his only wins. But I mean, maybe they have the coaching bump and maybe Temple covers, but I just think there'll be a lot of points in this game. So, yeah.
I think McCown makes a ton of sense. I rostered him also. Life after Frank Harris was a little slow to really kick in for UTSA, but that offense now is cranking. They got 3 straight games scoring over 40 points, 4 straight games 38 and above. And let's face it, Temple's defense is nothing that you worry about. They're better against the pass than the run, but it doesn't matter. I think UTSA and McCown's going to get theirs and have a monster game here.
Yeah. My second quarterback. This is where you gamble.
Yep.
Aiden Childs was a big time recruit. Now he has had games that he looked like absolute ass this season, but I think he is taking a step forward. I think next year he'll be much improved. And I think this is an opportunity to build on that and take a step forward because Purdue's defense is horrible.
Yeah, it is.
I don't even understand the concepts. They play super aggressively and leave their corners on islands frequently, which their corners are terrible. Like, I don't understand. Like they run something that doesn't make sense for their personnel. And I think Aiden Childs, despite how turnover prone he is, can take advantage of that. So at 5,500, Aiden Childs.
Yeah, I mean, Purdue's run defense was one of the bottom couple in the country. They've actually improved it a little bit up to 120, but it's not like their pass defense is any good either. I think it's like 110 or so. So both ways, I think you got it. It makes sense to get a couple Spartans on your team, but now I went with Eget over Childs just because he plays on a team that's going to really try to air the ball out. But I like the matchup for Michigan State, so I won't knock you too much there. I went 2 running backs, 4 receivers. What'd you do with the skill positions?
2 running backs, 4 receivers. My top running back, I went bargain shopping. It's Patty C's boy, Floyd Chalk. This guy's got I believe 9 touchdowns on the season, and he wasn't the starter out the gate. 117 carries, 596 yards, 5.1 yards a rush. And I do think UNLV's defense, even though coached by a defensive guy, who's rumored, by the way, to be West Virginia's next head coach. I don't know if you've seen those.
Really?
But this is a guy that, against Boise, struggled some, just 37 yards. But you go back to the previous games, really like the previous 8 games before that, it's a guy that got in the pay dirt almost every game. And yeah, I think it's a value play here.
I like it. I've rostered him a couple times this year. Not tonight, though. Today I focused on the passing attack for San Jose State. My top running back is UTSA's main guy, Robert Henry Jr., 5.7K. Again, I'm fading that really bad Temple run defense, 128th in the nation. Last time out against North Texas, Henry Jr. went 20 for 168 and 2 touchdowns. I see a scenario where he has a similar stat line this weekend.
I didn't have the money.
Yeah.
Didn't have the money. So I like the play. I just didn't have the money. And and I took a shot with my second running back, who's a little cheaper than chalk, with K-Rod Lynch Adams from Warren, Ohio. They're the leading rusher for the Michigan State Spartans. Purdue is just a bad defensive team, so I just think points will be had in this game.
I had to get one of the Sparty running backs too, and I have money for either him or Noah Carter, who's only $200 more expensive. I personally think Lynch Adams is better.
Isn't it? It's Nathan Carter, I believe.
I'm sorry. What did I say?
Noah Carter.
Yeah, you're right. Who's Noah?
Basketball player.
It is. No, but I agree. I went Lynch Adams also, even though it's hard to pinpoint which one is going to have the better day. Eye test tells me Lynch Adams is better.
Yeah, I mean, the only way you could convince me that's what you rostered him too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, no, I'm glad they have Rutgers in East Lansing. For a second, I thought it might have been senior day, and I was like, is Nathan Carter going to get the start for senior day? No, next week could be that. Actually, he's only a junior, so we don't have to worry about that.
Adams might be the senior actually, because I know he was at Temple for a couple of years. Are both running backs coming back next year?
No, you're right. Lynch Adams is the senior. Why did I think Carter was the senior?
Because he's been with Michigan State for a couple of years now. So, and he came over from UConn. I like that angle. Even more reason to go Lynch Adams.
Let's go. So we both have Lynch Adams. The wideout position is one I'm intrigued. You said you didn't go Ricky White. You went Nick Nash, who leads the country.
For Nick Nash, 9.7K. The guy's just putting together just an unbelievable season with 1,262 yards and 14 touchdowns. Woo!
He's a converted quarterback too.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
I take it you did not roster him.
I didn't have enough money, but I went with Ricky White III, who's blocked like 10 punts this year. This guy's a beast.
No extra points for that in fantasy, though.
Yeah, that's true. But still, like, he's a damn good wideout. I think they're going to try to find creative ways to get him the ball. I think that's a huge advantage for UNLV. Even though I do like some of the corners for San Jose State, the Virginia Tech transfer. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. He's good though. Yeah. I just think Ricky White's going to get his. So at 9K, loaded up on Ricky White III, the former Michigan State Spartan. You think Sparty's sitting there saying, "Wait a second, we had Ricky White, we had Keon Coleman." There was a third wideout too.
There was another one too.
Yeah.
Recently, right.
Where did he go? It went to. I feel like he went to the ACC or something. But and they were just what 5-7. I feel like under Mel Tucker. Anyway, who's your second wideout?
All right, so I think it's a double stack with San Jose State. I'm going to go Justin Lockhart, the wide receiver too.
Yes, the former Nevada Wolfpack member. I remember we used to play him with Norvell when he was at Nevada.
I mean, even if they try to like double up Nash or something, I think Lockhart can step up. I mean, the game he just had against Boise, 10 catches, 15 targets, 172 yards and a touchdown. While I don't expect that similar performance, I still think he can catch like 5 or 6 balls and be in like the 80 to 90 range, maybe get a score or two. So I think for 5.9K in that range, he's the top receiver there.
Yeah, agreed. And so wait, I only have 2 more players to give out. How about you?
Same here.
My next guy is going to be freshman out of Detroit, Michigan. And by the way, the amount of people, I'm getting off topic here. The amount of people though that Bryce Underwood, number 1 recruit in the nation, flips from LSU to Michigan. Allegedly like $10 or $12 million is what he's going to get.
Crazy.
The amount of people that I saw tweet out that college football is broken because this guy's, he didn't flip. He just took the more money.
Wow. That's never happened before.
That's why it's so, it just amazes me how naive people are.
Yeah. Like there wasn't bidding wars before it was legal, right?
I was telling you that, or I told this, I was thinking me and CJ were talking about this, but I read a book about, college football in the 1950s, and Bear Bryant would fly a plane. He had people fly a crop dusting plane over a recruit's house, and he was at A&M, and they would drop bags, or they would wrap like $10,000 in in the A&M flag
Yeah.
and drop it over the recruit's house. So I mean, that wasn't like 1952. So I mean, it just cracks me up when I see all these people think, "Oh my God, it's disgusting. The game is disgusting today."
Well, all those like legendary coaches like John Wooden. There's rumors that
he was bagged.
Yeah. So I mean, it's great to be. I mean, it's easy to be a great coach when you have the best talent because you've paid for that talent.
Exactly, man. But anyway, like another Underwood, and I feel like lost in the luster. What made me think of this? Because I was arguing with someone on Twitter. I was like, yeah, he probably took the most money, but I guarantee it would also help that he's from Detroit.
Yeah, sure.
They probably just matched the offer of LSU, and he's probably like, hey, I'll stay home.
Right. Who knows exactly why, but it is what it is. He'll be playing for Big Blue.
Yeah. But anyway, Nick Marsh, another kid out of Detroit. And I like this play here. This guy's been coming on lately. He had 8 for 111, or I'm sorry, 8 for 113 against Iowa, 5 for 78 in the score against Indiana. Last week, just 4 for 58. I think he bounces back against this shitty Boilermaker defense. Did you roster Nick Marsh?
I wanted a Sparty receiver, and I only have $200 left over, and that means I was $100 shy of rostering Nick Marsh. So I went with the other Sparty receiver, Monterey Foster Jr. They're like kind of like a 1A, 1B. I think Marsh is better, better upside. But Foster's had some pretty nice games this year too. 5 for 100 and touchdown against Iowa, a few weeks back. So even though I think Marsh is slightly better, I think the fallback to Foster is not a drastic one. So that's who I ended up going with.
There we go. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Final wideout or player for me is no, this guy was a dud last week, an absolute dud. Just 1 catch for 9 yards last week. But I'm going back to the well because I can't ignore the previous weeks against Memphis, over 100 yards, against Tulsa, over 100 yards. Chris Carpenter, the former Colorado Buffalo, which one other reason why I like the angle is he transferred to UTSA with McCown, who was also a former Colorado Buffalo. So they've been together for a while there. He leads the team in receptions. So at 6,200, give me Chris Carpenter out of Jacksonville, Texas.
Oh, it's funny because who did not have a bad game last week is the UTSA receiver that I'm going to take for only 4,500. Now, the problem was that last week, nobody knew who this guy was because he had 1 catch on the year before the game against North Texas. Last week might've been a flash in the pan, but David Amador II went 9 for 122 and a touchdown. So I guess McCown was looking towards Amador and not towards Carpenter. We'll see. Like I said, it's only 4,500, but he had that kind of a monster game, 30 fantasy points last week. I'll take another chance on him. Maybe he is emerging as the top wide out there, or maybe he goes back to not doing shit. We'll see. But for that price, I like the gamble. Give me David Amador for 4,500.
All right, there we go. Do we have a battle of bourbon here? A little Carpenter Amador battle?
I mean, my guy's 4,500.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what we have then.
How about Nash versus White?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Boom.
That's a good one.
Done and done.
All right, folks, we're going to get to Saturday mornings and then Saturday night slate. But before we do that, I want to let you know that the college football experience is brought to you by mybookie.ag. Yes, we started out with mybookie.ag and now we're back and better than ever. Check out the new and improved website. It's great on mobile, plus props for every game, and the live dealer casino is always fun. I am just loving the college basketball slate left and right here. I am on St. John's laying the 11 against Virginia tonight. So head over to mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN for 100% deposit match up to $1,000. Plus, they're going to give you a little $10 casino chip. That's mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN.
They better give Kadari Richmond an IV. He was cramping up last night.
That game was insane, by the way. That game was absolutely insane. If you haven't watched that, that's one you replay. We're also brought to you by Rebet. Rebet is a brand new social sports book available in 45 different states. There's a huge market of betting opportunities available on Rebet, and you can it's very easy to use and great for people in states where traditional sports books may be restricted. Hello, California, looking at you. Download Rebet in the App Store and use the promo code SGPN for 100% deposit match up to $100. That's Rebet, promo code SGPN. All right, we are back.
I like Jake Burns in the chat says, "Is this a safe place to talk politics?" Only Civil War politics.
Yeah, we've long said that Stonewall Jackson would have been a great fullback. Maybe it's just
I argue and say linebacker, but
like Michael Stonebreaker. I think he compares him to Michael Stonebreaker. I compare him to Craig Ironhead Hayward. So it's just the
Ironhead versus Stonewall. That's a collision I want to see. Who wins that?
Buddy, how about that game in the snow in the NFL last night?
Yeah, fantastic. I didn't watch much of it just because there was so much college action, but that is why football outdoors rules all.
Yes. Even when they had that silly ass kickoff, it'll still look good in the snow. All right. It's the one thing. NFL needs to get the memo. Stop building these fucking domes. Play outdoors the way the game was meant to be played.
Hey, speaking of Underdog, we gonna give out some Underdog picks?
Yeah, we should. What do you like on the slate here? Or I don't know if you're looking at tonight's card or Saturday's card. But
I like to focus on today's card.
Okay.
So I got a couple plays. Let me know what you think. First, I just rostered him. So Robert Henry, the running back for UTSA, over 60.5 rushing yards up against that abysmal Temple run defense.
I like that one. I'm loading that one in as we speak. What do you think about pairing that with Eden Childs higher than 1.5 passing touchdowns?
Probably safe. I mean,
or do you like Nick Marsh higher than 52.5 receiving yards?
I think I prefer the Marsh one. I mean, there's only been 2 games this year where Childs has thrown for over 1 touchdown. I do think Sparty is probably in the 30s in this game.
Yeah.
If not, I mean, they probably put up 4 touchdowns, right?
Yeah.
So you would think maybe 2 running, 2 passing. So you could talk me into the higher with the Marsh receiving or the Childs passing. Here's an under though, or lower. I'm sorry, that I like, which you'll disagree with, and we like disagreements on the show. Ricky White Jr. lower than 95.5 receiving yards. This is hit through the last 4 weeks. It's going to hit again.
No. I think Lockhart lower than 80.5 is the play, even though he's on my DFS lineup. He's gonna get 79 and 2 scores.
He was less than 6K. So if he goes 5 for 75 and a touchdown, that's still a win. That's still a good game.
Yeah.
All right, let me throw this one out. Evan Simon, quarterback for Temple, higher than 219.5 passing yards.
Whew.
I mean, dude, they're gonna be down. They're gonna be passing. And here we go. 5 of the last 6 UTSA games, the opposing quarterback has gone way over this total. So the only one that has it was Fade Fancher. So I think Simon with a game script, they're going to be trailing, they're going to be passing. I like him higher than 219.5.
The only problem is I feel like they've played both quarterbacks. So like with the new coach, the interim head coach, is there any chance that he's just like, no, I like this other quarterback better?
That other quarterback sucks. What's his name again?
I'm drawing a blank on it, but I know they played both.
Well, I mean, Simon was hurt. I think that's why they were playing him. You're talking about Forrest Brock.
Forrest Brock. Look, you can't see the trees for the forest, buddy. All right.
Well, Forrest Brock hasn't played since October 5th. So
new coach.
Right. That's true. I mean, we'll see. But Evan Simon's actually a decent quarterback, I think. And if they have any hopes of him staying there, not transferring out, they better play him.
Yeah, get on over to Underdog Fantasy. You can find edges like this that you can't find elsewhere. Promo code TCE SGPN. I just put that in loaded it up in there. Let's make that cash. Saturday morning was my favorite slate out of all 3.
I agree.
And it starts with did you go 2 quarterbacks?
Just 1, actually.
Wow. Care to explain yourself?
I wasn't crazy about the quarterbacks on the slate, and even the one I settled on, I wasn't willing to spend up on Cam Ward 10.5K or even Shadur or Jackson Dart over 9K. So that's like mid-tier quarterback. I wasn't quite sure. I thought Kevin Jennings potentially. I settled on a guy that you're not a big fan of, and he's had his up and downs this year. But Garrett Green just put up 44 fantasy points against Baylor. And if there's a little bit of snow in the forecast and with UCF coming to town, then I just think West Virginia is going to run a lot of Garrett Green. And we'll see if he can put up what he did last week. Probably not. But last week he had 22 rushes for 129 yards. A quarterback. We might see something similar to that.
I like it. I think it's a nice gamble. I mean, the weather's a little scary, but I feel like UCF just doesn't feel like they want to be there. I feel like it wants if it's snowing like the way they were forecasting a couple days ago. I haven't updated the weather to look ahead there. But that would be an interesting one there. I didn't have enough money for the top guys as much as I would love to roster Cam Ward against the Wake Forest defense, and I thought long and hard about doing it.
Right.
Actually, the more I think about it, maybe I should change something around here. Let me see.
I'll tell you that right now it's 34 degrees with snow in Morgantown. Now we go to Saturday, high of 47. I don't think it's going to be snowing, but it's going to be cold.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is why I'm going to load up on CJ Donaldson. We'll get to that. But no, at the quarterback spot, I stacked. I got Cam Ward at $10,500.
So you went with him.
Just made the changes, and I went with Hank Bachmeier. Same game.
Now, watch out. He got benched for Kern last week.
But I thought he was getting the start this week.
I don't know. I haven't heard. Okay. If that's what you heard, then
I thought I saw he was getting the start this week, but you never know on Twitter. It could be some idiot saying that.
And he might be on a short leash if he does get the start.
Man, I just feel like Wake can put up a lot of points on this Miami defense that sucks. I'm going to live with it.
Okay.
I'm going to live with it. Who's your second quarterback?
I don't have a second quarterback. I got 4 running backs.
Whew.
We'll start with the highest one. And, I'm the biggest Texas Tech fan in the world this year because I keep on betting on them, and they've actually treated me pretty well. But Oklahoma State, I've been fading their defense all year long, and it has paid dividends. One of the worst tackling teams I can remember recently. I think Taj Brooks could have a very big day against the Pokes.
He's the guy I got rid of for Cam Ward.
Okay.
So, okay. I mean, you know what? And I switched mine to I went away from Bachmeier. I went with DJ Lagway against Ole Miss's phony ass team.
I like that. Bachmeier.
Yeah. At the running back spot though, no, I had Taj Brooks. I just replaced him with the great CJ Donaldson, who's had kind of an off year. I kind of thought he would have a better year this year, but if it's weather elements, cold weather, I don't think UCF's going to want to, I think West Virginia's clear edge is going to be on the ground. 4,100.
I like Raheem White a little bit better this game, but I think both of them could have a solid game.
4,100 though. Both my running backs are 4,100. By the way, I have a third running back though. That's very expensive. But
okay,
who's your second running back?
My other expensive running back is SMU's Brashard Smith, 8.8K. This guy's also been on a tear lately. I mean, it's kind of funny to think that SMU at the beginning of the year was starting the wrong quarterback and the wrong running back. Thankfully, Lashley figured some things out pretty quickly, and that's why their offense is clicking. So I think he has a big day in Charlottesville.
Yeah, I'm with you. Want to talk about? Shout out to Dan Send in the chat. What's up, boys? Couple questions. I know you guys like a lot of dogs this week. What are your top 3 that you can agree on? And Nick, what ladder do you like this week? He also says I got Colorado and Arizona State winning. So he's looking just for dogs because I was gonna say I like Arizona State a lot too, but dogs off the top of my head. I mean, We were on a few of those.
Yeah, we were on like, especially the home dogs, like App State, like Minnesota, Kansas, small dog there.
No, I didn't take Kansas though. I didn't take Kansas.
That's right, that's right.
I took Oklahoma. You didn't take that though. Oh, Utah. I like Utah against Iowa State. I think Utah's going to ruin their season.
What else was there? Utah we were on. I like UCLA. I like Duke. Those are a couple home dogs I like. I don't know if we'll come to consensus, but I guess you should listen to the pick show. That's where we went down in more depth there.
The consensus, I think, would be the first one you mentioned.
App.
Do you agree with Utah with me?
Boston College is a little home yapper.
That's
I agree with Utah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Florida was one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. I love Florida. How about those three right there? Boston College, Florida, and App State.
There we go.
Nick, what about the ladder? Do you have any ladders prepared?
I'm still in the process of diving into the props for Saturday. Tonight, I wasn't crazy about any of them tonight, but the one I might put a little sprinkle on is Robert Henry again, the running back for UTSA.
Also, give him a follow on Twitter at NC__NICK. He tweets out a ton of his ladder stuff. So, if you get some movement, tweets out the stuff. Give the man a follow. Okay, back to our lineup. I gave away CJ Donaldson. My most expensive running back is Devin Neal at 7,500. Kansas is a hard team to stop because they have very creative ways to run the ball. And I think even Colorado, whose defense is improving every week, it's going to struggle with that. I think like Lance Leipold's in my opinion, one of the better coaches in the country. And he schemes up wide open plays, whether it's passing or whether it's just a great creative run, scheme. He does it. So I think Devin Neal will get his at 7,500. I loaded up. NC Nick, did you roster Devin Neal?
I didn't. Yeah, I did not. Dude, like we've been saying, Colorado's run defense is actually solid. It's not like top 30 in the nation, but it's kind of middle of the pack. Neal's going to have a fine day. But no, I went with the two really expensive running backs, and I got two much cheaper running backs. But I don't mind the play because Neal's a baller, and the good thing about him this year is that he's getting almost all the carries. The backup isn't getting as many. Yeah, he's not getting as many as he did the last couple of years. So, but speaking of running backs with what was a crowded backfield to at least begin the year in Boston College, well, Kai Robichaux has now had back-to-back games with 20 plus carries. He had 21 for 90 and 2 touchdowns against SMU. He had 28 for 198 and 2 touchdowns against Syracuse. Those were the last 2 games he played. We're on Boston College at home as a slight dog against North Carolina, who does not have a very good run defense. If he can keep on getting that many carries, he's a steal at only 5.6K.
Man, I wish I had that money. I thought about him, but I think Devin Neal is just such a solid option. I just chose my money to be spent there. But I'm going to take a shot. I don't think Kansas's defense is that great. Now, I think it's improved from previous years, but I think Colorado, what's lost in all of this is I do believe their run game is improving week by week because they started a lot of freshmen on the offensive line, and I think they're shaping into form week by week. And have you caught this kid from Naples, Florida, Isaiah Agustave?
Yeah, I have, and he's been breaking some long ones recently. I like the play. He just doesn't get volume. That's the concern.
Yes, but I mean, 22 for 91 against Cincinnati and a score. My thing is you look at the beginning of the year, he was barely getting the rock at all.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a shot on him because I do think this offensive line, although shitty in the beginning of the season, getting better each giving week. So 4,100 is the right price.
A passing attack applies so much pressure or stress on the defense, then it opens up running lanes. And lately, he has taken advantage of those lanes. He may only get 8 to 10 touches, though. That's the drawback, but that's why he's priced low. So it's a gamble, and I don't mind the play.
All right, those are my running backs. You got one more, right?
I do. He's cheap, 4,200. Speaking of not World War II. Geez, the Civil War. Ulysses Bentley the Fourth. I'll take for Ole Miss. We know Henry Parrish is out for the year. They still have a few other running backs that get touches, but I think Ulysses Bentley the Fourth is going to get most of the touches. And for only 4,200, Florida has not been very good against the run this year either. So I like taking a shot for that cheap of a price.
Not enough people name Ulysses these days, or Stonewall. Really, the more I think about it. Shout out to Dan. He says thanks, appreciate it, guys. Love the shows. Grateful for your time and dedication, and happy Thanksgiving happy Thanksgiving to you and your family too, Dan. Appreciate you tuning in. And
look, I know.
Yeah, what's that?
Sorry, tried to cut you off. Yeah, Dan. Cheers, man. But I know White Tiger is a great name for your son, but Ulysses Stonewall Dant would have been because that's is bringing together both sides. True. Also, I mean,
yeah, White Tiger. Well, hopefully we don't stop at White Tiger, and I can do Ulysses Stonewall Dant coming up. But all right, those are your running backs. Receiver wise, my top guy. I just can't not roster this guy. LaJohntay Wester at 6,700 led the nation in receptions a year ago. They finally starting to adjust his pricing. He also took a punt back for a touchdown last week. This guy's just explosive, and I feel like Travis Hunter brings in so much attention. It's impossible to stop all these guys. Jimmy Horn's been injured the past 3 weeks, and they just have a slew of guys that can just. Did you catch not Will Shepherd, but the other freshman
Miller,
dude? They got so many guys.
I rostered him for 4K. Now, this is kind of like my play with the guy on UTSA, where Miller has not done a whole lot before last week, but last week he did go 6 for 108 and a touchdown. Now, this week can he replicate that? Maybe not, especially if Horn comes back. But I had no money left for only 4K. I thought, hey man, he did it last week against a good Utah defense. Why not take a shot, see if he can do it again?
I saw Deion saying he's like Deebo Samuel. He was like, that's what I saw in recruiting him and bringing him here.
Pretty nice comparison.
Yeah. My second highest price wideout is Taylor Moore out of Chantilly, Virginia. Yeah. Look, Miami's pass defense fucking horrible. Are they the worst pass defense in the projected 12-team invitational?
I would assume so.
Yeah,
I would assume so. Without looking at each one, I would assume so. Probably also the best passing attack in that group also.
True. Maybe Colorado might be. But right there, both those teams. So Morin at 5,200 is my play. I roster him every week for the past 3 years. Did you touch any Wake wideouts?
I don't have anybody in that game, which if you could throw some shade at my lineup, maybe that's one of the critiques you could make, is that you might want some pieces in that game. I don't have any. I went with, he's always priced right around here, and all he does is just produce solid fantasy outputs, even though he may be unsexy. Minnesota's football program in general is unsexy, but Daniel Jackson is the wide receiver one. He's going to catch at least like 5-6 balls, 70, 80 yards, maybe a touchdown too. So, while I'm taking like a long shot at Miller, I want somebody reliable like Jackson, 5.6K.
Yeah, does make a lot of sense there. I've rostered him before. He is a beast. It's just their offense is kind of conservative though. But for the price, 5.6K.
Yes.
I think we got our battle of bourbon, because Chris Bell for Louisville at 5.5K is what I went with for my final guy here. Chris Bell is I think it's a revenge game for Louisville. Pitt ruined their undefeated season a year ago. I think Chris Bell will be able to light it up there against.
It's funny because basically my last guy was either Jackson or Bell, And Bell's a guy that we've talked about a lot. We like him, big play guy, but in the past, he didn't get the targets needed to really be a consistent fantasy contributor. He did last week, finally. Is that a sign of things to come, or is that just a flash in the pan game and he's going to go back to getting 4 targets thrown his way? That's the question. So I went with a more reliable choice with Jackson. If you want to do Jackson Bell side bet for a bottle of bourbon, shout out to Old Fashioned Football in the house. Also, speaking of bourbon, I'm down. Let's do it. But I still got one more receiver to go. Jackson
Bell sounds like the name of like a historical figure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true. I mean, not like Ulysses or Stonewall, but
yeah,
he's right up there. My last guy, 5.1K, Elijah Badger. These are kind of coming on lately. And you were talking about the Michigan State receivers that have transferred. What about the Arizona State receivers?
Oh my God,
that have transferred?
that's the worst one. Because with Johnny Wilson, the kid Pearsall got shot at Union Square in San Francisco,
right?
And then I think there's a third one too, though.
Well, Badger, obviously.
No, but he's a fourth. I think. I think the third one from the year prior.
Yeah.
You're right. Though.
And when Lagway's playing, this guy's produced 6 for 131 and a touchdown last week. A few weeks before that, he went 3 for 148 against Kentucky. So Florida might be down. They are a 10-point dog, which means they might have to pass more than they want to. And if so, Badger should be the recipient of a pretty fine day.
Love it. And yes, shout out to the Old Fashioned Football podcast. You should check that out. J. Mark and his wife talking football, whiskey, and just they have a ton of distillers on, and it's just fantastic fantasy football stuff. And get on over there. I also host the CFL gambling podcast and the UFL gambling podcast with J. Mark, so check out those as well. All right, moving up to the next slate. I actually thought this was one of the what do you think of this slate?
This is my wild slate. This is where I'm taking a crazy long shot here on a couple really high priced guys. I came into this slate kind of thinking I was going to build my roster kind of like I usually do. And I like some really cheap guys. So when I saw the price of the cheap guys, I could afford some really expensive guys. And so I don't know. It's one of those hit or miss ones. This is going to really cash for me or it's going to, do nothing.
I felt, this could, I kind of feel the same way. I loaded up with a lot in one game.
Yeah.
And it starts with John Mateer at $11,400.
Play the music.
He might be my favorite quarterback in college football too. Diego Pavia actually takes the cake, but right after that, it's John Mateer. Guy can play.
Only one game this year did he? No, I'm sorry, 2 games this year did he not put up over 30 fantasy points? And Oregon State, they're falling apart. I still think Oregon State might be able to hang with them, but you're not worried about the Oregon State defense. So John Mateer, I didn't go into this lineup thinking I was going to spend 11.4K on the quarterback. Nor did I think I was going to spend 10.3K on my second quarterback, but I'm going to go Jalen Milroe. So I'm spending up crazy at the quarterback position.
That is how much? What's Milroe's price?
10.3K. So I'm spending 21.7K on quarterback alone.
That's fascinating. My second guy, I went with so what you got to do is you got to make shots. Look, Cincinnati is a team falling apart. Well, no matter whatever Patty C says, I can't wait till he loses this lock battle with me. I think Avery Johnson, who's been all over the place this year, by the way. Yeah. I think they pulled the trigger. Now, this is an interesting thing, side story here, or like side thing to look at. I think Kansas State has probably limited resources when it comes to NIL. They do, I think, probably have a decent NIL, but I don't think it's.
Well, you saw that Avery Johnson got that like sweet blue Corvette, was it?
Yeah.
In the offseason.
I think they had to choose between him and Will Howard. Because I think they probably should have kept Will Howard for 1 year, but I bet you they probably didn't have the resources to have 2 QBs paid at a high rate at the same time.
You might be onto something.
So that's something that would be new about this NIL thing is like you have to kind of decide. Let's go with the youth movement.
And like I mentioned weeks ago, that Will Howard is Kansas State's all-time leading passer, and they basically said, "Have a nice day."
Yeah. Go to Ohio State. So at 7,400 though, I did go with Avery Johnson. He's been all over the place, but I just feel like Cincy's the perfect team to have a great game. It's been a disappointing season, I think, for Kansas State, but if they can, to me, show some promise down the stretch here, I think it's a good spot. So 7,400.
I considered him as well. His rushing ability provides a very safe floor, but overall, he has been a disappointment this season. Maybe he can turn it on the last couple of weeks.
And he's their highest recruit ever at Kansas State. So, running back wise, what did you do? How many?
I got 3 of them. One kind of high price guy. High price. He's 7.5K. I mean, I spent like crazy at quarterback, so I didn't have that much money. But I went Bryson Washington for Baylor, who is really coming on and having monster days. 2 straight fantasy games over 50 fantasy points. 7 touchdowns total in the last 2 games.
Maybe I should roster him over because 7,500. You said
he's 7,500. I mean, is that kind of production sustainable? They're on the road at Houston. Maybe not, but even if he gets a fraction of that production, still could be a very nice day.
Yeah, I think you might have just swayed me. So at 7,600, I was going to go with the former Colorado Buffalo as well, and Anthony Hankerson for Oregon State. It was 14 touchdowns on the season. He's become their starting running back. For a minute there, they were battling first couple of weeks with Griffin, the Ole Miss transfer. Now he didn't have an amazing day against Air Force, but the other games, like 154, 3 touchdowns against Nevada, 30 rushes for 121 yards and a score against San Jose State. So in that regard,
I have him on a couple of my season-long best ball, and he's having a nice year too.
I think you convinced me though. I think the Baylor play with Washington is a better play. So I will play that music. Give me your next running back.
Well, I know America wants Army to win. And I think me and you want Army to win also, but you are the one that's going to think they're going to cover. I don't. I think Notre Dame is going to roll, and if they do, it's with the ground game. It's with Jeremiah Love, 6.5K, coming off that 137 yards and 2 touchdown performance against UVA. He also had 100 yards and 2 touchdowns against Navy a few weeks back. He is the RB1 for the Fighting Irish. Jeremiah Love.
That's a good play, but yeah, I do think Army's going to cover. And I like how you had to add that in so people didn't think that you hate the America. Great job.
I am pro America for the record.
Great job by sprinkling that thing. But yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, I think I had him against Navy where he had a big game. So it does make a lot of sense there. My next running back is we're taking you to college. Well, actually, no, the Plains, College Station in a way, where Amari Daniels is getting the start. Le'Veon Moss out for the season. They're starting running back. And then the other kid before the season started, I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. He's out for the season too. So their top 2 backs are out. Amari Daniels been the guy taking the snaps, 99 rushes, 550 yards, 7 touchdowns on the season. Auburn's defense is all right, but I still think I can get A&M's back at starting running back at 3,500.
You got to play the music.
Yeah, let's go. That is a funny clip of Mike Elko saying we're focused on Texas this week. He meant to say Auburn.
But no, go back to Daniels real quick. I mean, he was getting like 10 carries a game with Moss in there. And I think people are looking at the New Mexico State game last week where he had 5 for 84 and a touchdown. But obviously they pulled him because they have so little depth at running back now. They did not want him out there in a game they knew they're going to play or they were going to win against New Mexico State. So that's why he only got 5 touches last week. So I think for 3,500, I mean, he might be chalky as hell, but you got to get Daniels here.
Yeah. And my final running back is this one. I didn't have a lot of money, so this is a hope play. Abu Sama from Des Moines, Iowa, who sometimes will start for Iowa State, but
I didn't know there's any Abu Samas in Des Moines, Iowa.
yeah, unbelievable there. But he had 12 rushes for 52 yards at a score last week. I wish he would get the ball more because like Texas Tech 13 for 74, UCF 10 for 55. I feel like he's good. It's just he shares time in the backfield, but at 3,500, didn't have much money left over. I took a shot on Abu Sama. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you said it. I mean, they also have Carson Handsome there, and they also have Jackson, I believe. So they have 3 running backs that'll get between or like 6 to 10 carries. Maybe if one guy has a hot hand, maybe he gets like 12 or so. So it's not a bad play because he's so cheap, but it's a crapshoot with the Iowa State running backs.
Yeah. Who's your last running back?
I'm on receiver. I gave you my 3 running backs. So obviously you're probably wondering, how do I have any more money left? And I don't have much left. So my three pass catchers are between 3.1 and 3.8K. When you roster 2 quarterbacks over 10K, that's what you have.
Start with the cheapest then. I'm curious.
The cheapest is Carson Ryan, tight end.
He's my guy.
Brant Kuthe's out for the year. Carson Ryan, he just had 4 for 78 against Colorado.
I played him.
There you go. I mean, you got to, if you have the starting Utah tight end, and especially if he's only 3.1K, ride with him.
Yeah. That's hilarious. Anytime
you played him this week too, right?
Yeah. I'll play the music. Anytime you can get the Utes tight end, it's a solid play in my mind. I love the fact you have all these cheap guys because I kind of do. Well, not really in one regard, but at 5,400, I stacked, and this is going to basically give away the rest of my lineup. I think Wazoo bounces back from that shocking loss where they stormed the field in Albuquerque. And I think both Kyle Williams, the former Fresno State Bulldog, and Chris Hudson, the former Oregon Duck, going to have a big day. So I rostered both of them, stacked them. That's my team. Did you roster any of these Washington State wideouts?
I rostered Carlos Hernandez, the Washington State wideout for 3.
You love that guy.
Well, look, I mean, he was hurt. He missed all of September and the first game in October too. Since coming back, he brought back into the mix a little slow, but he now has 4 straight games catching at least 4 balls. So he was the primary slot guy last year. But he's coming on. He's catching. I mean, he's just going to provide a decent production for such a cheap price. I also like the fact that we're getting more Hispanic names in college football. Go back like 15 years ago, it was very rare. Now we're getting
Tony Zendejas, Max Zendejas,
a couple kickers maybe, but
they're all Zendejases.
Now we got quarterbacks, we got running backs, we got receivers. Give me Carlos Hernandez, 3.7K.
I like it. I got
one more guy.
Yeah.
Are you done?
I'm done. So you got to fire.
All right, so that was my stack with Mateer. I also have a stack with Milrow. It's the Bama number 2 receiver, the Washington transfer, Jeremy Bernard. Again, this guy is not a sexy pick, but he's going to have about 4 or 5 catches for 60 or 70 yards. And when you spend up at quarterback, you got to go cheap, but he's going to get you something here. And that rounds out my lineup.
There we go. Folks, that's our show.
Right at an hour. Damn, we're good.
Yeah, we're pros right there. And look, Florida Gulf Coast up 17. Of course, I'm laying 5 with them. Let's go. YouTube.com/the college experience. Cannot wait for all this action. Give NC Nick a follow on Twitter at NC__NICK. I'm on Twitter at TheColbyD. The college football experience is on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. But remember, YouTube.com/the college experience. Hit that like and subscribe button. The race to 15K. Get on over there and do it. All right. Also, Spotify. If you just got 10 seconds of downtime, 5 stars. Boom. Do that. Check out the college basketball experience. We're live every single night talking every single college basketball game of the season. Get on over there. Check that out. Jake saying, yo, gonna do an RDU meetup at some point. Sure, we certainly will. Probably centered around a gigantic college basketball game in the next month or two.
You know, I mean, SGP headquarters might need to move out here because there's a lot of folks in this area now. You got, us two, obviously. You got
Pelletier,
you got
Terrell.
Terrell, then in Moneyline Mac and Richmond's only 2 hours away. We got a second nucleus here.
SGPN East.
That's right. I like it. There's
Brian
JMU
McKee
West.
in Wilmington. Yeah.
I think he moved.
Yeah, he was telling me though. I think he's moving back to Wilmington. He I don't know. He's all over the place. But he was in Wilmington last week. So, he told me he was probably Lante. Lante lives in Greensboro. Yeah,
that's right.
So, we're killing it over here. We will have to do a meetup, and SGPN East is happening. So, nice. Get on over there, folks. Also check out the college baseball experience and the FCS college football experience. We got a show scheduled for later on. Till next time, folks, this is the college football experience, DFS style. You better start thinking about yours, and we out of here. Run and shoot. We can really run and shoot. And the whole team's looking and the whole world's looking with the cameras. Run and shoot. We can really run and shoot. And you know